What's up, Magnetic Men Club YouTube? We are here again with another live. We are here to talk to you guys live. If you guys want to jump on Q&A, treat it like Q&A, ask us questions, get your questions answered. This is the place to do it. So I'm Chase. I'm here with my good friend and founder, partner here, Jared.
Hey guys, how are you?
We're here again this Friday, every Friday moving forward, like we said last week. So today the topic is overcoming the limiting belief that you are bad at talking to women, or I'm bad at talking to women, that being a limiting belief that kind of holds you back from social activity with women or social activity with friends, that kind of stuff, or otherwise. And so it's obviously something that can hold you back a lot in life, not even with just women, but like gaining opportunities and stuff in your life. And so it's something that Jared actually made a video on this last week. You'll see that link in the comments too, but he basically discussed different strategies and stuff that you can implement in overcoming this and trying to understand that it is a limiting belief, that it is something that's going to limit you in your life. It is something that you kind of want to try and overcome so that you can have engaging social activity in your life and make sure that you're actually moving forward the way that you want to. So like I said, it goes beyond women. But without further ado, let's dive into the topic. So, what do you think some misconceptions many men have when it comes to dating and socializing? What are some misconceptions that men have when it comes to those different types of social activities?
Yeah, great question. The biggest one is just anytime you have a belief in something, you want to ask yourself, where did you hear that from? Because you don't just generate a belief. Somebody told you an idea, or a friend said, hey, this happened or whatever, and then you fold it into your own thoughts. And so the video that Chase was discussing was actually from an email I got from an old client, and watch the video and you can better follow along on this. But his thought is, oh, I must just be bad with women because when I talk to women, or when I approach women, or when I'm in dialogue with just general people, I don't know what to say. But the duality side of him is he is really good. This guy he's about 37 years old now. I did his SMP probably 43 years ago. It was right before COVID, so whenever the hell that was. But the guy makes phenomenal money in sales, what he does. He's a killer in sales. And so he has no problem getting contacts, getting leads, talking to them, guys or girls, because his thought is, well, I'm talking to her because I need a contact from her. Or I want to convert her into, a client, or I want to sell her something, whatever it is. But the duality side of him is, I'm not good at women in the social aspect. And so through some coaching, he's new with me on my coaching program, but through the coaching, he started getting the idea of you're both sides of the same coin. You're doing the same thing when you're talking to women or talking to prospects in your sales. What you're doing there is you're just cultivating relationships. You're creating commonality. You're creating rapport, and you're trying to move that into a sale. Well, it's the same thing if you're talking to women on a personal level. You're creating rapport, you're creating commonality, you're creating that dialogue so that you can move it into a personal relationship. So the thought is, it's always generating the thought. Anytime you have a thought, or anytime you put a label on yourself, I'm not good at this, you limit yourself. And your brain is very good. Once you tell it something, it's going to give you all the reasons why you're not good at that. So a perfect example is, yeah, man, I'm just not good at women. Every time I, have talked to a woman, I get shot down. Your brain's going to be like, yeah, that's right. 2 weeks ago, you said hi to a girl and she looked at you like you had 4 heads. Or, yep, the last time you talked to a girl and you asked her out, she said no. So you're exactly right. You suck at women. And so it's that vicious cycle guys typically put themselves through, and that creates that awareness about them. Like, yeah, I just suck at women. So you want to start at who told you this? Who brought this to your attention that you're not good with women? And so one of the things I brought up with this guy was just that example of you're really good at it when the pressure's off, when you're just trying to sell something, when you're just trying to create rapport, you're really good at talking to anybody. Translate that over to your personal life. And he has been doing that. I've gotten some texts and some emails and calls from him, and how it just had to open up to him like, oh, yeah, this is the same thing. There's no difference. I've gotten shot down on calls. I've gotten shot down by men and women when I try to sell them a product. I've gotten shot down by women when I've asked them out. It's numbers. It's just numbers. It's the law of numbers. So a lot of guys put that limiting belief, specifically, I'm bad at this. I'm not good looking. I suck at this. And when they do that, they limit themselves. They put themselves into their own box, and they become their own worst enemy. And it's simply not true.
See, I remember reading the book about a year ago called Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Yeah.
And in that book, like, he kind of outlines the same stuff. Like, he talks about because that's the thing too, is tying things to your identity, and kind of how that can be helpful versus how that can be dangerous. Like, it's really a tool. Yeah. And so really, when you're saying to yourself that, I'm a lazy person, I'm not good with women, I'm not a very social person, that kind of stuff, you're tying those things to your identity. And those are negative things to tie to your identity. Those are things you really don't want to be associated with. Those things should not be part of your brand. And so at the end of the day, like, you can tie really positive things to your identity, because he was talking about, in like his case study in the book, quitting smoking. And so he was saying, like, so tie it to your identity. Say, like, I'm not a smoker. Like, I not that I don't smoke, I'm not a smoker, and how much more powerful that is. It's a really powerful thing to do, but at the same time, it can be powerful in the opposite way, where you're saying, I'm lazy, I'm not social, I'm not good with women. It's a really bad thing to try and tie to your identity, because, like I said, tying things to your identity isn't a bad thing. It's just like tying the right things to your identity and tying making sure that the wrong things are not tied to your identity. So being really specific about the person who you are, who you're trying to be, trying to create that manifesto and stuff too, because that'll help carry you forward. That's all tools and stuff that we kind of implement inside of our training program here. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it's really important that you understand exactly who you're trying to be and understand that person, so that you can tell yourself that stuff every single day too. Because tying things to your identity can be a bad thing, but it shouldn't inherently be a bad thing. You just got to make sure you're careful about what you are tying to your identity and who you are as a person.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And there's that old saying is, be careful what you tell yourself, because you're listening. Exactly. So everything, and that goes true with everything. If you speak positively about yourself, well, then you're going to frame your interactions as a positive person. If you speak negative upon yourself, every interaction that you frame is going to have negative connotations to it. And if you're speaking specifically about women, they can pick this up. Women are very good at picking up negative energy. Even if you're not trying to come across negative, they are so good at picking it up. And then they don't want anything to do with that. They want, if you're not the type of person who, again, we talked about this before, who you have to be your own best friend. You have to love yourself first, all your flaws. And if you can say, you know what? I might not be the best with women, but I'm not that bad. I do have value. I can offer my opinions. I do have value to a woman. I can bring this. And then you bring it. It's just a better energy to have when you're interacting with them. So stop playing small. Guys always play small, or they play fake. They fake alphas, fake, I can do all of this. And then when they start getting shit tested, they get beat up really quick. So just be authentic. If you're nervous, tell her you're nervous. What's the point of that? If you go up to a pretty girl, say, hey, listen, I'm sorry, I'm really nervous. You're very attractive. You're being authentic. You're letting her know, hey, I don't typically do this, but I find you very attractive. My name is Jared, whatever. Nice to meet you. She can pick up on how authentic you are. And that's all that's all we try to be, is just be your best self. flaws and all,
Right.
you know?
And so I think that really comes back to like, what can somebody do to kind of identify those limiting beliefs? Like maybe they don't even know they're doing it. Maybe they don't even know that they're applying these things, not applying these things. They don't even know where they're stuck in most
Mhm.
cases, right? And so it's a matter of like, what can somebody do to kind of identify these negative behaviors? What can somebody do to kind of like, because in a lot of cases you get told to fake it till you make it. And so what you're saying here is like, fake it till you make it maybe isn't necessarily the best thing you could do, especially if you're
Yeah.
faking it in the wrong way. Like you're trying
Yeah.
to be alpha, you're trying to maybe go full on red pill or something like that. But at the end of the day, like what can somebody do to try and implement this stuff and like try and really develop that abundance mindset when it comes to these things?
Well, without getting a good coach, the basic stuff that they could do is write down what they believe. Write down their beliefs on everything. Just put it on a piece of paper. What are your pros? What are your cons? And focus on your cons and ask yourself, is that true? Am I this way? And if you are, and you truly believe, yeah, I tend to be this way, start working on ways to level that part up and make it a pro. So you can get really honest with yourself by just writing down that basic information, that basic kind of dialogue. And another thing you can do is, again, getting into a good coaching program. Sometimes it's better to talk to somebody who has the tools and who has the skills to bring that out of you. Because when I'm talking to guys, they might say something. I don't know what to say with women, or I'm not good with women. And then I'll ask them, how true is that? And I break their pattern or their thought. I'm like, it's actually not that true. I don't have a problem talking to girls in this setting. And so getting into a really good coaching program is probably the best way, because we can shortcut a lot of the stuff that's been wired into you, and we can kind of pull that out and give you new ideas or help you create new ideas about it. So that's one of the things we focus on here, not just dating, but in relationships as a whole. And so I would say really the best thing to do is jump on a free consultation with us. It's free. We're going to go through and kind of see what some of the limiting beliefs that you tell me without you even knowing it. I'm going to know what your limiting beliefs are. And then we're going to kind of work into that. And then we're going to kind of figure out a game plan on what you're stuck in or what you perceive you're stuck in, and then start working towards leveling that part up, of your life.
100%. And you'll find that link below too to be able to schedule that consult too. Just go to our website and say breakthrough session, and that'll pop that right up if you want to try and request that too.
Yeah, because the biggest thing when you get the aha moment, when guys vomit out something and I fire back, how true is that? And it stops them. I've done it, girls as well. It stops them. That isn't true. Okay. Now your mind's open. Okay. You've just created the spirit in your thought. And now we want to say, it isn't that true. I have had success. I'm just in a rut. Great. You've recognized that you're not bad at this. You just might not be good at this. So what's the only way to get good at something? Repetition is the mother of skill.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%.
So a lot of it is a fear-based thought. A lot of it is, I'm not good with women because you're not good at getting rejected. That's the
Right.
fear. The fear, and guys always have it. I still have it. Women don't really understand this because they don't really get rejected as much as guys do. But from a very young age, we understand rejection very well. Very well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every time we talk to a pretty girl and she goes, you're fat, you're ugly, you're this, rejection, rejection, rejection. So it is ingrained into us as we get older. If we believe that, then we will, again, the energy will come out as, yeah, we just aren't good at this. But it's just not true. And so we have to rewire our thoughts. We have to rewire the thought take that thought out, put a new thought in, and to reinforce that thought, put action behind it.
Right.
The only way it's going to work, you have to put action behind it. And all of that leads to confidence. And all confidence is, there's a simple formula, is fear plus survival equals confidence.
Right.
That's it.
Okay.
I'm scared as shit to talk to this hot girl. But even if I get shot down, am I going to die? No. I'm going to do it. I'm going to survive it. I'm going to get more confidence. That's all confidence is, repeating what you are afraid of.
Right.
That's it.
Well, it comes back to face your fears. Like, you've got to face your fears if you're ever going to overcome them. They're not just going to go away. That's the thing. Is like this stuff that you struggle from, the stuff that you struggle with. Like, if you really think that maybe you're not so good in social situations, maybe you're not so good with women, if that's what you really think, and that's a belief system you have a hard time overcoming, I mean, like, just trying to like have your affirmations and stuff isn't something that's going to help you as much as you think it is, because like you're really just trying to treat symptoms in this case. And it's really symptoms of maybe believing that you're not good enough as a person, that you're not good enough for this, you're not good enough for that. There could be any number of deeper beliefs. I mean, that's something that you really like, you can flesh out with your therapist and counselor, coach, that kind of stuff. Yeah. But at the end of the day, that's really part of the development journey. That's really what we're here for. And so ultimately, like, if that's stuff that you're really trying to overcome and thinking that you're not good enough, it's going to be a hard sell to yourself to say like, well, yeah, I got to get out there and go talk to this girl. I got to get out there and go make these friends. I got to get out there and go talk to people, because you're never going to get to that point. Right. And especially if you're telling yourself that you're not good at these things, because it's really just going to create a lot of this fear and pain inside of your mind every time you think about these things. Yeah. And so it's really, just switching the script up. Like, you've got to reframe. You've got to be able to tell yourself that, I love talking to people. All the opportunities are on the other side of other people. Like, I love making new friends. It doesn't matter if a woman wants to be with me or not. Maybe she just wants to be friends. Like, it's cool. Right. There's varying degrees of relationships out here. It's not all or nothing in this. And like, a lot of the time it's okay to date people. You don't have to take things 100 miles a minute. Really get to know people first and understand that that's just life. And that's just really what we're dealing with here. And don't overthink it, man. Like, you really just take it one step at a time, and don't try to marry every single person you talk to. And I think you'll be okay. It's really just ultimately coming to the conclusion that like, it's really, there's nothing wrong with you as a person. There's just something wrong with the way that you're approaching this. And you just got to figure out exactly what that thing is and start tackling that. Right. And the biggest thing too is when I tell guys, don't be attached to the outcome. Yeah, exactly. You are afraid of talking to a girl. Well, don't worry about the outcome. Just, hey, Jared, nice to meet you. If she blows you off, look at it as a positive. Like, God, she just saved me a lot of time. I don't have to buy her a drink. She doesn't like me. Cool. I like me. Just but like don't get attached to the outcome. As a matter of fact, you really shouldn't get attached to outcomes on anything in your life. Just accept things on what they are. Right. Appreciate what you have at that moment, because it could all be gone. We're only here on this earth X amount of time. I mean, so why beat yourself up on, oh, this girl shot me down, or I didn't get this business lead, or I didn't get hired at this company I wanted. Okay, cool. So what? Yeah. Next. What else is out there? That clearly wasn't for me. But if you hide and you retreat and you go back to your old self, well, you're never going to grow. Right. You're just never going to grow. So growth beats out everything. It takes courage. What's that? It takes a certain amount of courage. Like, you've got to have courage to be able to step through and do this stuff the right way. Yeah. If you're constantly psyching yourself out, like, you're never going to get there. And so that's the big problem, is understanding that it's going to take a certain amount of courage. Yeah. And that you've got to have that courage to step over that threshold and start working on these things too. You've got to have that courage to get out there and talk to people. You've got to have that courage to get out there and try your best lines on these women and really see what you can do. And ultimately, you're going to learn from every little step of this, and you are going to get rejected, and you've got to have courage to face that fear. And so ultimately, I know that that's a reason that a lot of people don't get started with this. A lot of men suffer with this because they don't want to be rejected. It's the same thing as sales, like especially like when you're trying to get out there and sell your product and stuff. And the prospect rejects it, man. Like nobody wants that rejection. It's what keeps people off the phone when they should be smiling and dialing. It's really what keeps people from talking to that girl at the bar, even though she's sitting there alone. Like you have nothing to lose here. What exactly do you have to lose? You have everything to lose by sitting in your corner and not trying to get out there and do these things. You have everything to lose by wasting limited time that you have in this life thinking those things and putting yourself inside of a box that nobody can see. Because ultimately, every opportunity that you have, the best relationships in the world, everything that's going to make you feel fulfilled and happy as a person, it's on the other side of other people. And so you've got to understand that socializing is something you've got to get really good at. And if you want to get good at it, you got to reframe around it. You got to stop thinking yourself that you're not good enough, because, man, you are good enough. And if you really don't think so, and if you really think that there's a problem, then that's exactly what this program's here for, is to help you overcome those things and feel like you are a person who can tackle these things.
Yeah. That's exactly true. And another kind of, I don't know where this actually came from, but I hear it a lot. And there is some truth to it, but there always seems to be, when this topic comes up, is I always feel, I hear this a lot, feel. Well, if you just look at the word feel, that's a feminine trait. When a guy says feel
absolutely,
and not think. So when somebody says, specifically a guy says, I feel this way, that means I'm emotional about this thing. I don't think this, I feel this. So I'm going to dispel something for a lot of guys listening to this, and women will back me up on this. There seems to be this thought that there's always this better guy out there in the ether floating around, that women just have unlimited access to way better guys than you. And so it is. And if you really just look at it, I mean, go on social media, you'll see all these girls. Now, a lot of these women have done things in their past or what have you that are kind of screwing it up for them. But just as a whole, look at it as a whole. What are most guys? Most guys are out there simping. They are leading. They have no sexual discipline. They are just out there bouncing around, have no idea what's going on. They look very weak, very pathetic, especially again, when we talk about it. When you heart, like, comment on every single girl that's out there, you have no attention. Your attention means nothing. Now, let's say you're a guy who's a little bit reserved. You're a good quality guy. Well, you become a prize because you're not out there doing all those things. And so if you can just put yourself out there, and women will see that, I'm like, you know what? Wow, he's a really good guy. What are you comparing to? Guys always seem to think there's this phantom guy out there, that women have tons of great guys they can all date. No, they're thirsty beta male orbiters. That's what they get to choose from. They're really good. And this whole program is to level you up to at least get in that top 20%. Because that's where you want to be. You really want to be in the top 10% of all men, but the top 20% will at least get you options. Absolutely. And so you want to come from that abundance mindset. You don't want to come from the scarcity mindset. So if you can feel that you're abundant in yourself, you're abundant in your abilities, you're abundant in what you can bring to the table, and you can truly feel that, mean it, and you present that, man, I got to tell you that women gravitate towards that because it's not out there. It's just not out there. Yeah. So you're your own competition. Don't worry about what other guys are doing. Yes, there's always going to be better looking guys than you. Yes, there's always going to be guys that have more money than you, who have a better body than you, who have a better mouthpiece on you, who can talk. Always going to be that. But there's always going to be better looking women than the girl you're talking to.
It's true.
There's always going to be smarter women. So none of that is relative. None of it is relative. Just be the best person you can be. That's all you can control. You can't control her. You can't control her yes or her no. All you can control is you. So start there. There's your framework. You. not what everybody else is doing.
Well, and there are plenty of women out there too. So that's the thing too, is like when you have that kind of a mindset, you'll give the time of day to any girl that will talk to you at all. Like
Right.
any girl that even says hi to you, you're just like, oh my God, you don't have the abundance mindset. Like, oh, this girl's talking to me, I got to make this work. And it's like, no, you got to have an abundance mindset. Maybe there's going to be something about her that you don't like. You don't even know yet, but you're giving her all of your time and attention because she was the only one that said hi to you. Yeah. And so it's really important to have that abundance mindset and realize that there are lots of girls out there and they've all got competition too. Yeah. And so it's not just you. This isn't just relative to you. It's really every single person. That's really subjective. Everybody has their own struggles, their own insecurities. And so understanding that like everything that you're struggling with, everybody else is struggling with that too. Even that girl over there that you're having a hard time talking to. Yeah. And so ultimately, like I said, it's just part of being human, man. And you got to realize that it's not as hard as you think it is, and you're probably overthinking a lot of it. I think a lot of men struggle with authenticity a lot. Like that was something you mentioned earlier, like being authentic and being able to be your authentic self. I think that's where a lot of the overthought comes from, is the fact that they think that this girl wants something that they're not. Right. So they're trying to be something that they're not in order for her to like it. What kind of advice do you have for men like that?
Yeah, I mean, just she can pick it up. And she might not pick it up right away. It might be a date or two in, but you can't pretend to be somebody you're not all the time. You can't. And so what'll happen is you'll start showing some chinks in the armor. You'll start displaying some weak behavior, and then she's going to shit test. Like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And she's going to expose you for the fraud that you are. So if you just come at it and say, look work on being the best version of yourself. Don't try to be like some of these influencers and shit that you see that's out there. You know, a good one is like Andrew Tate, you know. I think he's a great influencer. I think has phenomenal ideas. Right. But I also see a lot of guys trying to imitate him. Like, why are you imitating him? You're not him. Just be you, you know, you're not 6'3". You don't have millions of dollars. You don't live in a different, like you live here. You make $50,000 a year. Fine, great. Just own it. Own who you are. Level yourself up. If you start noticing that you need to be leveled up. Again, a lot of guys girls just want guys who have six-pack abs. Again, that's complete fallacy. It's just not true. But do girls want a guy who's in shape? Yeah. So if you're a little bit overweight, well, that's something you can control. You don't need six-pack abs. You just get into better shape, right? Yep. Again, it's something you control. Oh, girls just want tall guys. Well, if that was true, then every short guy that you see that's with a beautiful girl just dispelled that myth.
Right.
What that short guy may have is confidence. Now, he might have money. Who knows what the situation is, but he probably has confidence. He probably owns who he is, and the girl doesn't mind.
Well, here's the thing. Too, is like women like mystery. Like women want somebody who, like, they want to learn who you are. They want to find out who you are. They don't want to come into a guy who's trying to be who they think they want him to be. They want to find out who that guy is genuinely. And so that's really what attracts women, is when you are yourself authentically, when you're not trying to overthink it. Because that's the thing too, is like if you're trying to be like Andrew Tate, for instance, and like you're trying to act like you got those millions of dollars, you got this nice car in the parking lot, whatever it is, right? You're going to come off like you have an inferiority complex.
You're going to come off like a douchebag.
Exactly.
Douchebag. You are. And I've seen it around in different circles, people, you know, sort of acting like that or having that mindset. And I knew them prior. I'm like, that's not who you are. You know, that's right. It's fake. But real quick, back to being short, because this is something that does come up. Yeah. It's very important because a lot of guys may go to a girl who does want a guy who's 6 foot or taller. That's a preference. It has nothing to do with you if you're 5'10" or 5'8". She's just not the one for you. You might have another girl who's 6 foot or whatever the hell tall she is. She doesn't care about height. So
100%.
again, you won't know that until you're out there socializing, talking, building a rapport. And if you happen to talk to a girl who says, hey, you'd like to get a drink sometime? If she says no, don't take it like, okay, cool, no problem. Just nice to meet you. Bada boom, bada bang. It might be because she doesn't date shorter guys. Well, that's nothing you can control. Who cares? Move on.
It is what it is. Yeah.
And if you are a short guy, because there is that Napoleon complex that these short guys really need to fix, because it is a problem. If you are a short guy and you do have an issue with it, don't try to overcompensate it by getting a lifted ass truck that you got to crawl into. I'm being serious because that makes you look
Oh,
like
yeah. No.
You're trying to overcompensate everything else in your life for the fact that you're short, which you now come across unauthentic. You're not owning it. You might chuck your shoulders out and you might be a jacked guy.
3-inch loafers.
Right. But that's also coming across as inauthentic and douchey.
It is.
Very douchey. So, we all have problems. We all have things we can't control. But the things you can control, level up. The things you can't control, don't worry about it. You can't control it. Now, I'm 6'1", so I've never had that thought of I'm taller by 85% of the population. Only 15% of the population is 6 foot or taller, and only 1% of women are 6 foot or taller. So I'm on that taller spectrum, but I'll date a girl who's shorter than me or taller than me. I don't care.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
So
it matters to some, but most people, it doesn't matter. And at the same time, if it matters to you, it will matter to them. And so that's the big problem is you got to make it matter less because, like I said, if that's a big, big problem for you, if that's the one thing that's on your mind when you're out there trying to talk to people, that's the one thing you're trying to overcome, like it's going to come off. And so that's like you're going to turn people off on that. And so like you got to own it. If you can't control it, just own it. That's you. That's who you are. That's okay. Accept me as I am. If you can't accept me as I am, then I'm going to move on. It's cool. It's no problem. That's having that abundance mindset too. And so realizing that like, yeah, there are some people out there that might have an issue with it, but most of them don't. Most of them won't. Yeah. And if it's a problem for you, it's going to be a problem for them. And so, like I said, just try and control that at least to the point where like, okay, well, I can control what I'm thinking about in the conversation, what I'm thinking about in the situation, what I'm kind of dealing with. And so if it's not a problem for me and I'm not going to make it a problem for me, then I'm just going to go out there and meet them, and it's not a problem. It's not even going to come up. And so at the end of the day, like I said, if it's really a big issue with you, it's something that you got to focus on making it less of an issue because it's going to come out there. And when you go out and have those conversations, it's going to come off to every single person, and you're just going to come off as a giant douchebag.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And look at it this way. One more thing about the height. If a woman is only interested in dating 6 foot or taller, well, actually, good luck with that because, again, you've just alienated 85% of the population. So good luck with that. I would just feel bad if a girl is that vain, like, oh, I only want 6'1".
That's a qualifier, yeah.
Yeah, and this little shit's 5'4". I'm like, who the hell are you?
That's somebody really shallow. That's not somebody you really want to give the time of day to anyway. So, I mean,
yeah. So, but anyway, that's enough on the short side. But again, we all have limiting beliefs. It's just up to us as individuals to choose what beliefs are true. And if they're not true, then change the belief. And it does require some coaching. I don't think you can do it solely on yourself.
Yeah, obviously you need some kind of accountability, somebody that'll keep you practicing this stuff, make sure that you have a gauge of where you're at. Because that's the thing too, is if you're not tracking your results, then you don't even know what you're improving, where you're improving, how you're improving it. So that's one of the major benefits in coaching is the tracking and the accountability, making sure that you actually do these things, laying these steps out, and somebody being there. Hey, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? Makes a massive difference.
Yeah, just like in our business, we always say you can't measure what you're not aware of.
Yep.
So if I can make you aware of it, now you have something to measure. Like, okay, let's level this up.
And
And now we have a place to go.
Yeah, exactly. Now you can improve it. If you know where it's at, you can improve it. So that's the thing too, is knowing that maybe I'm 250 pounds, knowing that first off, okay, I've got to lose weight. That's got to come down. So like I've set a gauge for something. Now I know what my goal is. I know what to aim for. Now I know exactly what action steps I need to take. I need to go to the gym. I need to go work out, that kind of stuff, right? So it's understanding exactly what the problem is, where you're at with that problem, laying that out so that you now have action steps that you can go take so that we can shorten that time that it takes to be who you are to who you want to be, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's another one that I hear quite often is women only want the good looking Chad types, the chiseled jawline and all that. And again, it sort of goes back to the height analogy. If a woman is only concerned with the way a person looks, well then, and you're not that, if she wants this chiseled jawline, great for hair, whatever, well then she's just not the one for you, because there's plenty of women who may find you attractive where they might not find a really good looking guy in all metrics attractive, because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I can't tell you how many guys I know that are married or together with gorgeous women, and in my eyes, that dude's like, you're kind of busted, brother. But again, it's how he makes her feel. It's how his confidence, his swag. So it's not always about looks, especially mostly for women. They don't view men through the same lens we view women. We're visual creatures. We like beauty. We like women that are attractive. Women aren't really as shallow as we are in that department. They're really not. Of course, they want somebody who is put together well. They basically use what they have. So maybe you're not the greatest looking guy, but with what you have, you're well groomed, you're well mannered, you're dressed well, you're put together as best you can. And that's all you can do. I mean, why worry about it? If she finds you attractive, great.
She can go after chiseled Chad, right? Or she can go after Tom from down the street. Like Tom holds his frame. Tom is a really masculine man. Tom actually understands traditional values and things like that too. Tom likes to take care of her, and Tom likes to take her out on the weekends, that kind of stuff. Chad falls apart when it comes down to any of that stuff. Like Chad's not very good at planning. Chad's kind of an airhead. Chad, he's not very funny, he thinks he's funny, but he's not very funny. So that's the thing too, is understanding that it goes a lot deeper than looks. A lot of it comes down to personality and who you are as a person, and being authentically you is the most important thing in that scenario, to make everybody in the scenario happy too. Because that's the thing too, is if you're pretending to be something that you're not, if she's pretending to be something that she's not, I'm going to show you two very, very unhappy people.
Right.
And so trying to be something that you're not for prolonged periods of time is just a recipe for misery. You're only going to be miserable. You're only going to be unhappy in that kind of a scenario. And so one of the biggest things that I kind of wanted to leave this call off with was, how can we build more confidence in ourselves? Like real, true, genuine confidence, not trying to fake it, not trying to feign it for whatever, right? But like genuine confidence. How can I be more comfortable with who I am as a person and exuding that confidence and things like that out there when I'm in these social situations, and like overcoming the fear of being rejected? What are things that I can do to try and basically overcome that fear and be more confident and be more authentic as a person?
Yeah, great question. And we sort of touched on it before. It's just recognizing that fear, leaning into it a little bit, recognizing that you're going to survive it, good or bad, you're not going to die, will build more confidence. If it's a situation where maybe you're just a shut-in or very recluse and you just don't go out, just start baby steps. What we would do on that says we do a bronze, a silver, and a gold type of action plan, and find something you're really interested in. Maybe you are kind of a dork and you like playing video games or Dungeons and Dragons or whatever. I mean, I'm not throwing shade. There's clubs
Nothing
out
wrong with
there.
that. Yeah, no, absolutely.
There's clubs out there that do it, that you can join, and you can meet people who share the same interests. Well, what if there's a girl there that loves Dungeons and Dragons? I don't know. Well, she might like you, you might like her. You already have commonality because you're at a place that you're both there, so you both know you like it. So maybe joining different clubs or going to different events that you have an interest in. A perfect example is there was probably 6 months ago an event for a dog shelter nearby. And they're trying to raise money, for the shelter. It was a not-for-profit. And one of my friends he loves dogs. I mean, he's just loves animals, and he's got some, he takes them in, all this stuff. And his thought is, because he has all these animals at his house, he doesn't like bringing girls over there, because his thought is, I have 5 dogs at any one time. There's hair everywhere, but he loves these dogs so much that it's their home. I'm like, okay, well, what if we went to this event? I went with them, and if there's girls there, well, then they must love dogs too, correct? Yeah, of course. All right. Cool. So he went there. Of course, there were some girls there. I'm not exactly sure. I know he's been talking to a couple of them, but my whole point is you have to go where there's commonality. And so a lot of guys will just have the thought of, well, I just go to bars. Well, the only thing you have in common at the bar is drinking. You don't know anything about the person, but if you can go to an event, you at least know they like that thing you're at, or maybe they put money into the event. Who knows? So
absolutely, yeah, 100%.
It helps you talk to the people that are at that event because you share a common interest. So maybe start there. Again, the gym in itself isn't a great way to meet women at the gym, because they're there to work out. They're sweating. They got their they got their earbuds on. I never tell guys hit on a girl at the gym. However, if you go to the gym and you keep seeing her there and you happen to see her out, bam, hey, aren't you Jenny at the gym? Whatever the hell her name is. At least now she knows who you are. She has a face like, oh yeah, no, this guy works out. He's avid, something in common. So it's all about getting out there. Don't stay in your house and bitch that you suck at women. Well, yeah, you will, because you're not out there. You're not.
Yeah.
And you can't always just rest on dating apps, because the same logic applies. You might get a lot of likes. You might get a lot of, I don't know how the apps really work. I really don't. But you might get a match, but now you got to go meet her.
Yep.
So
it's got its ups and downs too. I mean, obviously there's the old fashioned way of going out and meeting people. Like, yeah, you can meet people anywhere. You can go to the beach and meet people. You can go to the mall and meet people. You can meet people at the grocery store. You can meet them at the gym, whatever it is, right? And ultimately, the more places that you see these same people, the more they're going to recognize you and know you. So, like, if you are going to the gym every single week and you see this girl at the gym, and then you see her at the mall later on, and then you see her at the grocery store, she's going to remember you each and every single time. You're going to remember her each and every single time. And whether you like it or not, whether you guys are even talking or not, whether you've even met or not, you automatically have a stronger relationship now because you guys have seen each other in multiple places that you guys frequent. Yeah. And so those are important things. Like, you're not going to get that staying at home, being inside of your basement, like trying to be on Bumble or Tinder or whatever it is, right? Yeah. If you're on those apps trying to meet people, like, understand that those people meet people constantly on those apps. And even if you tried to form a relationship with one of those people, she's probably not getting off that app right away. Like she's probably going to stay on that app for a little while and keep playing the field, make sure she's got her best option.
Could be.
Is that something that you want to deal with? Like that could be a pitfall to meeting somebody on those apps too. And so like understanding that there's lots of different places to meet people. Like even just meeting somebody on Facebook and engaging with their content regularly. Don't be like a simp and go like every single photo she posts.
Yeah.
Don't go like a bunch of them in a row. Like don't go poke her and all that kind of stuff. Like that's not the stuff that we're talking about here. We're talking about like actually forming real relationships. Like, is that how you're going to try and sell somebody into your service? Like these things are really closely related. Yeah. So understanding that like you've got prospects out there, you've got to go prospect on them. You've got to go learn more about them. You've got to go try and actually talk to them and get them on the phone, get into the DMs, whatever it is. It's really closely related to sales. And so I understand that like learning sales and learning dating are really, really similar things. And but at the end of the day, like the principles don't change. Like wherever you're meeting these people at, that's probably something they do a lot of. And so it's really good to understand exactly who you are as a person and what you like as a person. Because if you want to meet somebody who likes video games, you're going to meet that person playing video games. If you want to meet somebody who likes to go out and drink and party and have a good time, then you're probably going to see them at the bar. If you want to meet somebody who's highly religious and shares your religious views, well, you're probably going to meet that person at church. And so that just understanding that it's just prospecting in a nutshell. Yeah. And when you're looking for leads for your business, when you're looking for leads today, it's really doesn't change that much. Yeah. And so just understanding that, like, who are you as a person? Who do you want to be as a person? And what kind of interests do you want the person that you're with to share with you? So those are more important things than looking for somebody purely based on their looks. Because if you're looking for somebody based on looks, you're going to have a bad time. You're going to find a lot of shallow people. You're going to find a lot of people that don't really make you happy because they don't share your interests. And so go where you're interested. Go where people are interested in the same things as you. And you'll find a lot more quality relationships from people.
Yeah. And plus, remember, looks fade.
Exactly. Exactly.
Pretty faces fade. Guys, we all fade, our bodies fade. So, if that's your only prerequisite to dating somebody, well, like you said, it's going to be a very shallow relationship.
100%. Yep.
And that's fine.
If you have a good conversation with somebody, then you're really, what are you going to build? What kind of relationship are you going to be able to build off that foundation, right? There's no foundation there. So how are you going to be able to build off of that? You're not. It's probably going to get pretty stale pretty fast.
Right. Absolutely.
But that's all we got for you guys today. We'll be back here again the same time next Friday. Make sure you guys show up with your questions. If you have any questions, make sure you shoot them down in the chat here. If you're meeting on this, if we're not live right now, if you're just rewatching this, then obviously we will come back and answer your questions. Anything you put in the chat, let us know if you're watching this and you're not live. And at the same time, make sure you guys are in our Facebook group. You'll find the link for that below. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel so you get these updates. And like I said, we've got that free breakthrough session. If you feel like you want to discuss some of these things with Jared here, if you want to get some of your questions answered, we've got that free breakthrough session for you guys for a reason. You'll find that on our website. Just click through the link below and just click on breakthrough sessions. You'll be able to schedule that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is a good one today.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're excited to see you guys again next week. Let us know if there's anything we can answer for you guys. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.